I don't even really know how to introduce Tim Dillon to people because, yeah, it's Tim Dillon. Today we're doing a Try Not to Laugh for Tim Dillon. I'm sure it's going to be an absolute failure because he is hilarious, wild. You'll see. This is from Joke World. Make sure to go show them some love. That dude at Joke World has been grinding, and he's finally made it on like a big scale. It's really cool to see. He has a lot of compilations though built out over the years that are really great to react to and do Try Not to Laugh. So let's hop into it.
Nuts.
You know, I had a publicist for like 25 minutes, and I fired her after she 2 weeks after I did Rogan. She texted me. She went, "You did Rogan?" So
you're like, all right, I gotta go.
I said, "Let's go."
Yeah.
Also, she asked me to her ex-boyfriend who had blocked her on Facebook. She wanted me to go and look what relationship status he was in. So I said she might not be the most professional.
And this,
oh yeah, this was a real person.
and she was charging you real fees. Like this
she was charging me money, and so I had to say no to her, and but she said, she goes, "I'm gonna try to get you like this was a fact." She was trying to get me like she wanted Mega Bus to endorse me because this was like when I used to take Mega Buses to shows, like not currently, but like I had a bit about it in my act, like Mega Bus. So she goes, "We'd like, you know, I would love, you know, we'd love to get
a Mega Bus
to get you
sponsorship."
and Mega Bus in business
Wait,
together."
explain Mega Bus to people. Who
Well,
don't
Mega Bus
know.
is just, it's the bus that passes you by and it goes, "For $1, get on."
Yeah.
And it's never $1, but it's always like, it's
Right.
as the buses go, it's
Yeah.
a pretty good option. It's like
Right.
a double decker. It's college kids, old people, you know, hippies. It's not that bad. It's not like Greyhound, and then it starts to fall off a little bit. It gets really bad. Lucky Star, like they get real bad.
They get bad.
They get bad. But Mega Bus was one that I would take a lot. And she goes, I said, and this was her quote. She goes, "It'd be great to get you in business with a brand like Mega Bus." So I'm still open to that. Like, I'm still open.
What was your response to that?
Great. Because that's what this business does to you.
Yeah.
You're like, absolutely.
Yeah.
I will advertise anything.
Wait a minute, this is a joke
Dude,
I do on the thing.
When I was 19, I used to go around with a slingshot. My boy had a slingshot. We would go and we would break bus terminal windows on Francis Lewis Boulevard, and we would just fucking shatter bus terminal windows. If I was a 19-year-old kid right now, I'd be at the protest fucking breaking windows of police precincts.
Dude,
That's
when
what
I
they
was
do.
19, I was fucking lending fucking janitors $800,000 to buy their dream home on Long Island.
And now they're dead in the streets.
So
What? Who cares?
So if I come to you right now, let's go back. You're a mortgage broker in Long Island. I meet you in a diner, which is you call your office.
The Imperial Diner in Freeport,
Yeah,
absolutely phenomenal.
Yeah, you
We
go.
got to make it real.
Yeah.
So it's the Imperial Diner in Freeport on Merrick Road.
Yeah, you say meet me at the office, and I hear you hang up.
We'll spill hot coffee on you by mistake and look at you and go.
Yeah. And when you tell me to meet you at your office, I hear the clang of a payphone when you hang up.
Yeah.
And so I meet you at your office. I come in. I say, "Hey, how you doing? Nice to meet you, Mr. Dillon. Me and my wife just got married. You know, I'm a comedian. I saved up about $80K. You know, she wants to live. We're having a baby.
Here's
she
your
wants to
Mr.
live on the
Pappas.
island.
Mr. Pop, I'm very glad.
Can I get a loan?
Not only can you get a loan, but let me tell you something.
Yeah.
How much of that $80K are you prepared to spend on the property?
I don't know, Mr. Dillon. You know, I'm a pretty conservative guy. I saved every single dollar from my more recent shows.
How much are you prepared to spend?
Hold on, let me go into Maurice's brain.
No. Of that $80,000, how much would you like to spend? Are you willing to spend all of it?
I'm willing to spend. I'm willing to spend about 60 or 70 of it.
Mr. Pappas, guess how much of that 80 you're gonna have to spend?
How much?
Nothing.
What?
Nothing. You're not gonna spend anything because let me explain something to you. Sit down. The wife is lovely. Would you like a cup of coffee? Here's the thing.
Yeah. Can I
Mr.
get
Pappas.
Can I get pancakes while I'm here?
Yeah, you could get anything. The bricks and sticks of your house.
Yeah.
Appreciate. The frame, the land. They appreciate value. You know what your money does in your house for you, Mr. Pappas? It does absolutely nothing. You know what the wealthiest people do with real estate, Mr. Pappas? A lot of them finance it. Why? Because your mortgage is your only tax write-off. It is the only write-off. It is your only fucking weapon against the federal government. The larger the loan you take, the better it is for you financially. And you take that $80,000, and I'm not wrong, by the way, and you put, well, I'm a little, and you put it in tax-exempt securities like Roth IRAs. Mr. Pappas, you maximize the amount of tax-exempt retirement accounts that you put your money in with that $80,000. You make it work for you. You do not sink it into a house. Yes or yes? So the reality is this. We're taking the biggest loan possible. That, Mr. Pappas, will set you free. Now sign this piece of paper for Christ. And at that point, you and your wife are crying.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then we sign papers, and you go die.
But how do you get the loan from the bank? They're giving
You know, I do want to stop really quick because he's actually really, really smart. And that is like the smartest move to do, because putting your savings account into your house is just a loss of money. But if your money's working for you and you have enough money to bring in, like, how do I explain it? Like, he explains it so well. Like, if you're bringing in money from your IRA that could pay for the house, you are therefore not even paying for the house that you have a loan on. Like, he's a smart dude. You can tell he hustled fucking hard.
away.
Back in the day, what are we doing? We're talking about now or back in the day?
No, back in the day.
Yeah, how
Back
did
in
you
the
do
day,
it?
I go to the bank. I said, Kelly, we got one. And Kelly, I said, Mr. Pappas and his wife Brittany's from Long Island. They want to go buy a piece of marble hunk of shit. And Kelly has got Coke running down her nose from last night. She's got a fucking double tall non-fat latte from Starbucks, non-fat. She's not kidding anyone. And she nails it down and she says, she makes all the paperwork look like it should look. And then my little shitty bank, which was called Franklin First or New World Mortgage or the Mortgage Zone or the Funding Hut or whatever it is, we send our
Funding Hut.
paper to a fucking even bigger and as similarly shitty bank like a Long Beach Mortgage or a New Century Mortgage or an Argent. And those banks were doing backdoor deals with JP Morgan, Citigroup. So those banks were underwriting the paper to the middle grade banks that were lending money to the dirtbag brokerage operating out of a van places that I worked. Okay?
Right.
So when this all, you ever played a game of hot potato?
Yeah, it's an orgy. Yeah.
So when everything goes wrong,
You pass it around.
we're passing it around. And
Yeah.
then by the time you sign your mortgage, by the time you get your first bill, because the other benefit, Mr. Pop, is you don't pay for 2 months.
Right.
For 2 months, you don't pay.
But
That's
are you
true.
sure I'm going to be able to afford this mortgage? My stand-up comedy career is up and down.
Mr. Pappas, I have watched your stuff. I think you're a genius.
Thank you.
Y'all that I think I'm leaving TikTok.
No.
I've enjoyed all the friendships. And
Thanks for turning the
everything,
volume up. Background.
but Some drama's going on. That
No,
Really,
don't leave.
really
I didn't
Cool.
even know you were allowed to be on. I don't even have one. I didn't know you were allowed to be on it if you were over 19. Like, I had no idea that there were 60-year-olds leaving TikTok.
Oh, there are.
Like, emotionally
Making an announcement.
You're like emotionally going, I have made a lot of friendships here. It's like, that's illegal. That's against the law. What do you mean you've made a lot of friendships here?
Right.
What are you talking about? I mean,
We had been
Yeah.
day drinking in Florida, visiting
Yeah.
my family, and we saw these little kids, like fifth graders,
yeah.
by the pool in this place, and we walked in on them, and they were choreographed. And we're like, "What are you doing?" And we've been drinking,
Right.
and they're like, "Oh," and they're in their school uniforms. They're like, "We're
Right.
making a TikTok," and we both were like, "We're on TikTok," and they were like, "Oh, okay." These are like 10,
Yeah,
11-year-old
they think
girls.
they're going to get kidnapped.
And then they're like, "What's your handle?" And I was like, I spelled it out for them. And then as we walked out, I realized that the last one I had posted was me pulling my nipples and going like that. And I was like, "Oh, we gotta go. We gotta go.
We got to get out of here. You know? I mean, yeah, it's one of those things, man. It's like old people have Facebook. That's where you go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's where you go to scream
Yeah.
into the void, talk about your knee operation.
Yes.
Talk about Donald Trump. Talk about dead animals. Talk
Scream
about.
into the void.
I
is
mean, that's
accurate.
what it
It
is.
is.
That's what you're there. That's what it's for.
A
Amazing.
backyard show.
Amazing.
I just want it'll be my
It's
first
gonna
one.
be great. It'll be fun. As soon as you get that laugh and you're in, you're like, oh, I'm back in, and it's amazing. But then they're closing all the parking garages in New York now at midnight because homeless people, I guess, are just walking down into them, and they're like, hey, this is a fun cave.
Yeah.
What could happen here?
Yeah.
I like cars.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, like I imagine like homeless people like there's a cave full of luxury cars 2 blocks away.
Yeah.
We don't have to be in the rain tonight.
Right.
And so they are closing those at midnight. So then me and my opener, we get back and we're driving around the city trying to find a spot. Everything's just weird, man. We went into a bodega at like 1. We're like standing there. There's a homeless woman in there begging for tea. The dude's like, it's your third tea. And then you're looking at two guys that are kind of walking around the bodega, and you're like, something feels off. Like, are they about to whip a gun out? Am I just paranoid because of the news? Nobody's out at night. New York City used to be, and I lived there for years.
Bumping, dude.
Bumping. 3 a.m. I'd be in a diner yelling at people about how fucked this business was. You know,
Yeah.
I have been denied the amount of bitter, resentful bile that came out of my mouth as marinara sauce was flying out of it, mozzarella stick bites, just being like, the denial. This bitch gets a special. Just nasty, real horror. I wasted so much in New York. Like, I loved it. It was amazing.
Yeah.
But like, just the amount of time I spent walking around being angry and not in awe of what an amazing city it was. Like my opener, he paints this picture of like, it's so amazing. He's like, it's just so easy to meet girls and you're dating and it's just, you're there. You guys can go get margaritas. And I'm like, but what about all the hatred? Like, didn't you just walk around every day consumed with a darkness in you didn't know how to get rid of? He's like, well, not really, no. He's like, I was dating, and I'm like, but what about the late nights on the roof of your building smoking a cigarette, cursing God? I love it there. I miss it a little. Never live there again because me and New York have that relationship where we destroy each other. I was a tour guide. I ruined people's lives. I ruined vacations that people had saved up their entire life to come to New York to just see it. And I would grab the microphone and I'd go, this city sucks and I am dying in this city. I have nothing and everyone I know has nothing. Everyone. I said, I know some of the most talented people and they're getting nowhere. And people were like, this is really, we just want to see the Lion King. We just want to see the Lion King.
Were you doing bus tours?
Yeah, double-decker bus tours. I would stand on the bus and I would just go out there and I would tell people, I would say, they'd be like, it seems like you have such a fun job. I say, ask Winter. You know how many operations Winter's had on her foot? 6. She's had 6 foot operations. She's 68 years old. Okay? She doesn't want to show you Carnegie Hall anymore. She wants the long sleep. Like, it was such... It was bad. Tour guides are tragic characters. You become a tourist in your own home. You start falling in love with the buildings. You hate people.
Yeah.
You hate people. So that was my experience in New York. Was just an orb of negativity.
COVID, a broken ankle.
He's just so compelling to listen to. He's such a storyteller, man. Like, I think what he does now, from my understanding, is his podcast is just kind of him ranting, which, I mean, I probably would listen to.
Last night she said I had an overwhelming amount of pressure. There was no real sickness.
Okay.
It was just an overwhelming amount of pressure that needed to be relieved.
Yo, the worst part is the video. She's like, "Don't worry, I'll relieve you from the pressure." And Mike's like, "Yes, thank you, nurse."
Yeah.
Well, no idea.
It's like someone's holding a gun to his head. They're like, "Role play, bitch." Thank
You
you
have to get better at it.
Yes.
You have to get better.
You ever do the RPG stuff, the role playing?
Well, that's
No, I think
have you ever
I think-
used an
I think-
RPG in the
No,
bedroom?
I think when someone's hooking up with me, they're always pretending I'm someone else.
Got it.
I always imagine they're doing a role play in their head because their eyes are closed and a lot of times they're screaming. No, I've never. I'm not into like role playing. I think it's just hot enough from like I'm me, you're you.
Got it.
That's good.
Yeah.
That's good enough. This is fun enough. And I'm also bad. Like I would want to be something that I'm believably not.
What,
You
for
know?
example?
You know, I just want to be. I'd want to be a sport, like in sports or a fight. Like it would be ridiculous.
A fighter.
Like I'm like a fighter. I'd be like, I'm a boxer, and they go, no, you're not. You're not. No. So I'll do like a realistic role play where I'm like a manager at a
Burger King.
Yeah, at an Islands Burgers and Shakes. I'm a manager.
Great restaurant.
Great. And I'm a manager and you're a waiter who's going to be fired. And, and it's just and it's always sexual harassment. All my role plays are, I'm committing a felony in my head. So that's why I stay away from it. Cause I'm like, this is an abuse of power. This is not good. So I try to just stay away.
Look, Tim. Joe Rogan says you're a national treasure.
He also said the vaccine for coronavirus was freshly fallen snow. So I love him to death, but you know he says a lot.
Yo, he really does. He also said Connecticut. He also said Connecticut is simply a highway between New York and Boston.
Every other day he talks to me. He's like, vitamin D cures COVID. I'm like, I don't know, but all right. So I'm just taking vitamin D, no mask, thinking I'm good. So I'm gonna drop dead on his advice. I love him to death, but
here's a guy obviously who's looking to date.
This guy looks like he's in trouble. This guy looks like he didn't answer a contact tracing call. He's infected 38 people.
Hey, Mr. Dillon, huge fan. Mr. Vaughn, long-time listener, watcher, first-time caller and communicator. Pardon my back mullet. I don't have a top mullet, but I got a little back hair mullet.
You got that heat coming
Anyway,
in.
I got a crazy question for Mr. Dillon. What do you think about the assassin killing himself that shot the judge's son? This Ghislaine Maxwell shit's getting a little crazy.
Yeah, it's real
on
creepy.
us.
Yeah.
So let's get into that. First, let's just establish that you believe Epstein was a pedophile. No, I'm just saying, let's just establish some ground.
Who are you working for? Wait a minute, hold on. What?
you just feel the pressure because they're looking at other people in their orbit and they're like, yeah, okay. And it's like the Greta Thunberg girl. There's people that are like, she's so great, but they're also on private jets. Like these are people that take private jets and they're like, this girl's great. And listen, she made some valid points, but she was a little creepy. It was a creepy speech. I don't know if you saw it. It was creepy. It was odd.
Unfortunately, don't know how much we could talk.
I've watched it 5 to 10 times.
It was too much. You know, so the normal reaction to that from a human being that just turned on their TV was like, what? Like, yeah, okay, but is she okay? Like that was a normal reaction. Like, what's going on? She's like, my childhood. You're like, this is very odd, you know? I wanted her to go the full thing and just start throwing out conspiracies. You know, you killed Jeffrey Epstein in the cell. And then you come to us and ask us. It's like, wait a minute. Okay, now it's getting good.
Some are saying she's like a plant of some sort.
No, man. I don't. Listen, here's the deal.
Others are saying that she's actually Gollum from The Lord of the Rings.
I did a video on Instagram and I put it out on Twitter.
I'm gonna have to cut that.
I just did I pretended to be an agent for like these kids, and it wasn't making fun of these kids. It was just making fun of agents.
Yeah.
Like the idea that you'd be an agent for a child activist, you know, and you just represented all these people. It's like, can you get David Hogg on the phone? We sent 30 pairs of sneakers to his dorm, you know? I need this guy, you know? Because this agent who was like, Malala went with a competitor. You haven't heard her name in 2 years. Then it was like, Malala, you got to come out as non-binary if you want heat now. No one cares about landmines, honey. Nobody gives a shit about clean water. It's about guns and climate, you know? So there are people behind these. Doesn't mean the kids are wrong. There's people behind them. There's a machine. It's the way it is.
Do they build them or do they see opportunities and then promote them?
I don't think anybody needs to get built. I think people show up. It's like, listen, people get cast. Think about it like a movie, right? People get cast in a role, but how many people show up wanting the role?
And it was just this really depressing time. And it was, the saddest, sales guys are supposed to have money, confidence.
Yeah.
We had none of that left. We'd been broken, beaten down and broken. And the dude who was kind of the head of the operation was this drunk named Bob. Bob had lost his license for a DWI, so we had to take turns driving him home. He was our boss.
Everyone had to take shifts.
Yeah. And when you have to drive and he would fall asleep because he'd drink all day at Chili's, and then he'd fall asleep on the way home in your car, and then wake up like at a stoplight to just deliver a cryptic message. Like he'd be like, and then he'd wake up and go, "We're in big trouble. I'll tell you that much. We're in big trouble." And you'd go, what? And then he'd go, no, make a left at Park Avenue. And so he would just deliver these cryptic messages. This is how that company started. You want to hear how that company started? I pitched this as a show and nobody bought it. Are they fucking nuts, Sickler?
Yeah.
So here's what happened. This is how the company started. This guy, Bob, was a high-level guy and a major mortgage lender in Long Island. He's a CFO. He sees that this company is going to kind of crumble. He sees the writing on the wall. It's like, we're in trouble. We're holding on to a lot of bad debt. This thing's just going to go. It's going left. We got to get out. So he pulls his buddy. His buddy and him, instead of evacuating the business, right? This is such a Long Island fucking thing. They go, we're going to do it the right way. We have all this know-how. We're going to put together a small company. We're going to do it the right way. So they go up to this guy's house upstate, which is partially done. They're getting sauced. They're talking about the new company they're going to have. Whoever this other guy is, I don't know, falls through a second floor that's not completely done and dies.
No.
Dies.
Come on. While they're up there talking about this shit?
Correct. Instead of abandoning the project, Bob then walks around at his funeral and goes, I just want to let you know I'm going to open the company for your father. He was a good man. He believed in tight lending standards. We're going to open this company. The underwriting, it was,
At
the
the funeral.
company started in death.
Yeah.
It
Wild.
started in death. And so I worked there for about a year and a half. Very sad Christmas party. Very, very sad.
I'll bet, yeah.
Very sad. It's just that, like, most outdoor things are not
Horrendous.
ideal. They're not ideal.
Look, here's the thing, though. When I went and did the outdoor shows with cars, it was very weird for the first, 5 minutes. It was like they're honking. I was like, this is awful. I hate
but
this.
I don't want to.
5 minutes in, I was fucking like, I get it. Okay, I know
Yeah,
what
but
to
we
do.
have evolved. It's called podcasting. I don't want to
Yeah.
perform for cars. I can just be funny for an hour or 2 hours a week.
Well, your fan base
on
doesn't
the
have cars.
internet. Man, I'm sorry my fan base isn't my other celebrity friends. I apologize. I apologize. Jennifer Aniston and Sandra. Who are these people? It's over. It's over,
Well,
ladies.
explain to me TikTok. Is TikTok real?
Yeah.
Benton makes a very good point. People have 8 million followers on TikTok. The same person will have 100,000 on Instagram. What's happening?
Because everybody on Instagram is an old witch, like your friends. And on TikTok, everybody's just hot as fuck, and we don't care. And we don't care about old people and what they're about. Like, we're about positivity and light and showing and being healthy and showing our dicks. That's what we're about. So I'm not upset at old school people.
What is the most important
like you
platform
and
right now?
Dan Rather.
According to you.
Most realtors are brain dead, and they amass these large fortunes by being brain. And it's the funniest because none of the interactions are real. Like none of the they're all like he's like you want it for 8, but it's gonna be for we're too far apart. It's really like 9. But a lot of those real conversations are like a realtor turning around and going, listen, being like, my client's trying to get out of China with his life right now. The World Bank, this guy, they want him for genocide. He poisoned a river, but he loves this infinity pool. He's going to get his money out here. But you got to listen. I mean, this guy, they want him for narco trafficking. He's coming, this is the Sinaloa cartel.
Let's
who
make a
owns
deal.
Yeah, let's go. You need, and instead it's like, I like the windows. It's like, that's not it.
No, it's
That
not
ain't
it.
it.
Definitely
I'll
not.
tell you
This
that
guy has
much.
killed entire
Oh
families.
yeah, in New York
and he
City,
wants this apartment.
like all the people that own these houses are like Russian fertilizer magnets,
Oh, yes.
Chinese amusement park tycoons.
Yeah, for
Yeah.
sure.
Oh yeah.
Now I bet you were a fucking savage. What did you do? Subprime mortgage seller?
I sold subprime mortgages because I believe in people and their ability to own homes. That's number one. That's number one. And I was stopped from doing that by a totalitarian government who does not believe in people the way that I do.
So
sorry.
Would you tell people who are like, I don't know if I can afford this? You were like, dude.
By the way,
I'm looking at the
America
books.
is a country of thieves and criminals.
Yeah.
No one said I don't think I can afford. I love.
true.
By the way, I love that. That's such an innocent, great way to think about it.
Yeah.
Like there's someone on the phone where I'm like, hey, we could get you $300,000 Thursday, and they go like this. I don't know if I can afford it. No, it's America.
Yeah.
Everyone's a dirtbag.
They're like, I can.
They're like, can we get it Tuesday?
Yeah.
Can we get it
Can
Wednesday
I make it
morning?
500?
Yeah. So it's actually not. I mean, I'm sure the predatory lending went on, things like that went
Yeah.
on, but the majority of people that I worked with were selfish
Yeah.
scoundrels
Yeah.
that wanted money.
Were you ever?
I gave them money.
Did you ever?
I bought a
get to-
subprime mortgage. I bought a house with a subprime mortgage.
You did?
Yeah.
Did you ever get to the Did you ever have somebody, whatever, who's I don't know the ins and outs of it, but applying, and you looked at their stuff and you're like, there's no way we can give this guy anything.
Well, the worst one we had was a guy who was clearly like had dementia or didn't know where he was, and his son wanted to open up a strip club in Miami, and his son just took all the money out of his house, and we were sitting at the closing, and we're signing papers, and this old guy's like struggling to sign papers, and his son is like, keep signing, Daddy, it's almost over. And the closing attorney said, I'm not really comfortable with this, and I'm like, yeah, it ain't great, but I mean, at that point, what are you gonna do?
Yeah. Yeah.
Shout out to the Vasquezes.
Oh my God.
But there again, it's a guy that came to me. He's like, my father's, an old guy. I want to suck all the money out of his house.
Yeah.
And go open up a strip club. It's
Yeah.
like, all right.
How's that strip club doing?
I don't know, Tom, but if I was a betting man,
Yeah.
I don't know.
I bet that's a great business.
I
though.
think it is,
really do.
and
I love sales. I miss it, and
Yeah.
I love it. I love sitting in a room with uneducated people, calling people over the phone and trying to build an empire.
There's many live
All right, we're gonna stop right there because this video is long as hell. But there's a taste of Tim Dillon for you. A salesman churned comedian. It's captivating. It's hard not to listen to him talk. And I want to watch this whole thing, but 54 minutes. Maybe we'll make a part 2 when we get through more comedians. But thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you have a great rest of your day, and I will catch you on the next one. Peace.